G'day folks, welcome to the show. Tonight, welcome you to Kangaroo Bluff historic site, a gun battery on the Derwent River, which was here to protect Hobart Town. So let's go and check it out. Grab a bevy, kick back and enjoy the show. From the time of the first official white settlement of the Derwent in 1803, there was concern over the possibility of attack by sea. In 1818, merger defences in Hobart Town were supplanted by a poor pitfall mud fort at Mulgrave Battery. By 1835, it became increasingly clear that what was now thriving merchant township could easily be subject to a naval attack. It could even be held for ransom if threatened with sea bombardment by a privateer. This prompted comprehensive plans by the mayor for defences on both sides of the Derwent. However, little was accomplished. Various batteries were erected over the next few years, with major fortification of the Queen's Battery was completed in 1865. Other batteries were planned at sites at Sandy Bay, Belrive and Battery Point. The withdrawal of Imperial troops in 1870, followed by critical state of relations between Russia and England, once again made the Derwent defences a matter of urgency. After many further delays, the defence of Hobart Town was ready for action by 1885, just in time for another Russian war scare that was associated with the Russian occupation of Afghanistan. In 1936, it was thought that mutually supporting batteries on both sides of the Derwent River would turn Hobart Town into a fortress. Kangaroo Point, with its steep bluff, was an ideal site, located on the eastern shore. At the close of 1840, arrangements were made to purchase the land. It took almost 40 years of recast plans, financial delays and further land purchases before Captain E. Tudor Bodham could lay out the battery. Excavations commenced in September 1880 in accord with the plans. Work was brought to a halt in April 1881 due to excessive costs. At the end of May 1883, Patrick Croney was contracted for the erection of the fortress in association with the Public Works Department. The work was supervised by the staff officer at Bodham and completed in October 1884. Cost was approximately $16,300 at a time where labourers received 50 cents a day. In mid-1885, public trespass resulted in the ditch being deepened, walls raised and further coarse and broken glass set in mortar on top of the wall. A fence was built around the fort as a safety measure after a 9-year-old boy drowned in the water-filled ditch in November 1885. The pentagonal form of the battery fitted snugly into the curvature of the bluff. The ditch, underground passages and chambers were cut out from solid stone and faced with masonry. The excavated stone was cut into 0.6 metre blocks to build the battery. The fort is the widest, 146 metres, allowing rifle fibre along the whole length of the ditch to repel any assault by a land party. To underground magazines stored lamp rooms, well and loading galleries, speaking tubes were set into the walls for communication purposes. For many years, the permanent military forces in Tasmania consisted almost totally of infantry from Great Britain. Not until 1895 was there a volunteer artillery company constituted for the defence of Hobart Town. A school of artillery was formed in 1862. Thereafter, a number of inquiries probed the problems of manning the defences. Hidden between the mound is a magazine complex for large Armstrong guns. The artillery store is beneath the neck-like part of the mound, adjoining others, the cartridge store and shell store. Towards the front of the battery are 2 loading galleries and doorways to either are near the semicircular apron of both gun emplacements. Passway links up all sections of the magazine and floors and artillery cartridge and bell stores. Though 6 metres below the mound surface, the magazine is constructed of rubble masonry together with arch brickwork. Is to cover the minimum thickness of 1.61 metres of bomb-proof concrete. On top of this, at least 1.22 metres of earth provided further protection. A copper ventilator supplied necessary air, leather shelves themselves and cupboards and clothing, sidearms, handspikes, besides cleaning equipment for the guns. Protection against accidental starts that might cause an explosion was the greatest importance. Hence, the buckets carrying water to wash out the gun bores were made of leather. Felt shoes were worn by the men. Shovels and other tools were made from wood, and no matches, iron or steel were permitted in the powder magazine. Candles were preferred to oil or spirit lamps, as candles usually extinguished themselves if overturned, whereas spilt oil and spirit lamp tended to spread flames. The Tasmanian bark Loofra arrived from England on the 3rd of November 1882. On board were two large muzzle loading rifled Armstrong guns with a total weight of 25.9 tonnes. One gun was lifted from the hold on 25th of November and days later taken to Belrue Wharf. It took a team of 13 horses to transport it to the battery. The other gun followed at the end of the month. However, they were not mounted until 1884. The guns would fire projectiles 81.7 kilograms and the powder charge was only half that weight. The size of the bore was 203 millimetres in diameter, hence the designated 8-inch guns. They are the only original guns of the battery. In 1925, orders was given to bury the guns as obsolete, but they were dug up and placed on new concrete mounts by the Army in 1970. In April 1885, rifled muzzle loading 80-pounders were placed on each flank of the fort. They were able to fire projectiles that weight 36.3 kilograms. Both these guns have been converted from old smoothbore 64-pound cannons when they were mounted upon a large sliding wooden carriage. The gun is now on the flank, was originally at the Queen's Battery. It was brought here from the Britain Army camp in 1970. Made in 1866, the barrel weighs 4.2 tonnes and it was able to shoot a projectile of 21.8 kilograms. From the early 1900s, it served as a time gun for the Hobart Town, carrying on a 6-year tradition dating in 1863 of a 1 o'clock gun fired as an accurate check for the watch clock. On the opposite flank, an embarkment was added in 1888. It was for a small quick-fire Nordenfell gun balanced on a pillar. The gun would fire projectiles of 2.7 kilograms. Provision was also made to mount a Nordenfell gun near the bridge. And there's the city that it was defending. What would have been Hobart Town. The defences, however, were designed never to fire a shot in anger.